In the late 1960s and early 1970s, a shadow lurked in Northern California, taunting the police, terrifying the public, and leaving behind a trail of unsolved murders. The Zodiac Killer, as he came to be known, became one of the most infamous serial killers in American history, not just because of his crimes, but because of his cryptic letters, ciphers, and the eerie way he communicated with the world. Despite decades of investigation, his identity remains a mystery, making the case one of the most haunting unsolved crimes of the 20th century. The Zodiac's reign of terror began on December 20th, 1968, when high school sweethearts Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were parked in a secluded area on Lake Herman Road, a popular lover's lane in Benicia, California. Around 11:15 p.m., an unknown assailant approached their car and shot both teenagers in cold blood. Betty Lou was found dead, having been shot multiple times as she tried to flee, while David was killed execution style. At the time, authorities had no idea this was the work of a serial killer, but 7 months later, he struck again. On the night of July 4th, 1969, another young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, parked at the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. Out of nowhere, a man approached their car and fired a 9mm pistol. Darlene was killed instantly, but Michael miraculously survived despite multiple gunshot wounds. Then came the first chilling twist. 40 minutes after the attack, the killer himself called the Vallejo Police Department.
Vallejo Police Department.
I want to report a double murder.
May I have your
If you
name
go 1
and where
mile
you're calling?
east on Columbus Parkway, a public park, you'll find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye.
Speaking in a calm and eerie voice, he took responsibility for both the recent shooting and the earlier Lake Herman Road murders. This marked the beginning of the Zodiac's sick game, a game that would baffle investigators for decades. 1 month after the Blue Rock Springs attack, newspapers across California received a letter from the killer himself. Sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald, the letters included a 408-symbol cryptogram that the Zodiac claimed contained his true identity. He demanded the newspapers publish his letters, or else he would kill again. The ciphers were quickly solved by a school teacher and his wife, but instead of a name, they contained a disturbing message. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." It was clear the Zodiac wasn't just a murderer. He was a manipulator who enjoyed toying with the public, relishing the fear he spread across California. On September 27, 1969, the Zodiac struck again, but this time he changed his approach. Instead of a shooting, he targeted a young couple, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, who were relaxing by Lake Berryessa. Wearing a bizarre executioner-style hood with a white cross circle symbol, the Zodiac approached them with a gun and a knife. He tied them up, spoke to them calmly, and then stabbed them multiple times before walking away. Before leaving, he drew his signature Zodiac symbol on Brian's car door, along with the dates of his previous murders. Miraculously, Brian survived, but Cecilia died from her wounds. The Zodiac had evolved, becoming even more methodical and theatrical. Just 2 weeks later, the Zodiac would commit his most brazen crime yet, this time in broad daylight. On October 11, 1969, he shot and killed Paul Stein, a San Francisco cab driver, in the upscale Presidio Heights neighborhood. Unlike his previous murders, this attack had a direct witness, a group of teenagers watching from their window. They called the police, providing a description of the killer. But in a tragic twist, a police dispatcher mistakenly broadcasted that they were looking for a black suspect instead of a white male, allowing the Zodiac to slip away. Shortly after, he mocked the police in another letter, even sending a piece of Paul Stein's bloody shirt as proof. He ridiculed law enforcement, claiming they would never catch him. And he was right. Over the next few years, the Zodiac would continue to send cryptic letters, strange ciphers, and even greeting cards to the press. He would boast about his murders and even claim responsibility for crimes he may not have committed. In one of his letters, he wrote about creating a death machine and spoke of collecting slaves for the afterlife. He even introduced his now iconic symbol, the circle with a cross through it, which he used to sign his letters. His final confirmed letter came in 1974, after which he vanished completely. But even in his absence, his legend only grew. Over the years, countless theories have surfaced about the Zodiac's true identity. Some of the most famous suspects include Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who was the prime suspect for decades. He owned a Zodiac-style watch, had a typewriter similar to the one used in the letters, and even made suspicious comments about the killings. However, DNA tests later ruled him out. Gary Francis Post, a more recent suspect, allegedly linked to the Zodiac through forensic analysis, though no official confirmation has been made. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Some have speculated that Kaczynski, known for his cryptic manifestos and hatred of modern society, could have been the Zodiac, though no strong evidence supports this. Despite numerous investigations, the Zodiac's identity remains unknown. In 2020, a team of cryptographers finally cracked one of his unsolved ciphers, but it contained no name, just more taunting. The Zodiac case remains one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. His ability to evade capture, his eerie letters, and his cryptic ciphers have cemented him as a dark legend. Even today, the case continues to fascinate true crime enthusiasts, with new theories and potential leads emerging regularly. The question still lingers: who was the Zodiac Killer? And why did he stop? Perhaps one day new evidence will finally unmask him, but until then his name will remain synonymous with fear, mystery, and the dark side of human nature. If you liked this video, be sure to check out our next video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification button for future content. Until next time.